Radars such as our Viper 4D system can show us rain, snow, and hail. They can also detect other objects in the air. A new OU research project is about to begin that will study the behaviors of birds and bats across the U.S. and right here in Oklahoma.
This is not just biology. This is research that uses a lot of what we have learned from meteorology to understand biology, and so we're sort of crossing those two areas, and to be funded and to be known for research on those kinds of topics is a big deal for us.
Jeff Kelly is a professor of biology at OU, which was just awarded almost $140,000 from the National Science Foundation to study birds and bats. The research will focus on how their populations are responding in complicated ways to environmental change.
Some examples of these are purple martins, which is a species of bird that many people raise in their backyards in martin houses. But also species like Mexican free-tailed bats. And in Oklahoma, we have a lot of Mexican free-tailed bats out west in the Selman Bat Caves.
To study all of this, him and his team will use the power of the network of National Weather Service radars across the country.
The nice thing about the radar data and what lets us sort of work with the radar data is that there's an archive of all of the data that's been collected over the past 20 years. And so we can go back and look for data on birds and bats in the radar going back to the 1990s.
People are used to the weather radar detecting, of course, weather. How does it detect birds and bats?
Well, the radars that we use to detect things like hail, snow, rain, things like that, they actually detect bugs and birds and bats in the very same way. The radar sees things by sending out pulses of energy and measuring how much of that energy gets returned to the radar once it bounces off things.
Karen says there's a certain signature to look for on the radars when birds and bats are present. This is what the researchers will be looking for in the archive data.
What you'll start to see is this growing circle of reflectivity right around the radar itself. A lot of times that will begin to shrink during the overnight period, and that's related to when the birds actually stop their flight and they come home to roost, at least for the night.
Jeff said the research will last at least 3 years and hopes to gain a lot of knowledge from it.
So what we'd like to know about those birds and bats is, are their numbers staying the same, increasing or declining? And then sort of is the timing of when they're showing up in Oklahoma and when they're leaving the same or different?
Meteorologist Brandon Woolley, 2 Works for You.